Okay, hello, welcome to Punch Fear in the Face. I'm Shannon, your host, and I ain't even scared. And today, before I introduce my handsome friend here, I just want to recap. So, Punch Fear in the Face. If you had no fear, what would you want? That's always the question. Sometimes we don't know. So, what do? You go into next indicated action. Just go do something, and in action comes clarity. God meets you in motion, right? So then I wanted to talk, and the reason Rudy's here, oh, I didn't want to, because I don't want to introduce him because he's got a lot of names. Like, I don't really even know who he is. He's got like these aliases. So, but we're talking about, he's an artist, and we're talking about the importance of daydreaming and your active imagination, the importance it plays, and how we don't talk about that enough. And, he raised a daughter who's an artist by trade, which is just rare these days because of the narrative around art. There's no money in art. Man, my dad was an artist. I didn't become an artist because he told me I had no talent. But that's a whole other episode about early childhood trauma. Okay. So please, without further ado, my friend, my dear friend Rudy, I think he goes by other names. So I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us what he does and who he is.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here, Shannon. My name is Rudy. Rudy Rody is a nickname. Rudy is, but
His mother calls him Mark. His mother-in-law calls him Mark. So I get confused.
well, no. My mother actually told me once that my middle name was going to be Rudolph, but they chose Andrew, and I was fucking pissed off when I found out. Like,
How do you like Rudolph? I love it.
because Mark and Andrew,
Yeah.
they're both saints and are far from apart.
Oh, yeah, I need a bar from a Zane.
But having said that, the first time 20 years ago, late summer, early fall, Coeur d'Alene, and I'm in there with Tracy, my wife, my beautiful wife, my very young daughter. She's a Capricorn, a January kid, so she was a year older, I want to say. She was 6 years old when she started kindergarten. I may be wrong, but I'm not about her birthday or their beauty, but I may be wrong about her age. Just in fun.
Dad.
Pretty sure that it was that. At any rate, we're sitting there, and I'm doing like any normal dad would do with a young family I'm very protective of. I'm just sussing out the other family, seeing who are real people and who are people that are more concerned with their appearance
We
and
live in
stuff.
LA.
We live in Los Angeles.
Everyone's in the industry. He's in the industry. I build houses for people in the industry.
So anyway, it starts with this the principal at the time, and there was a change, but the principal at that time introduced the woman who represented the green team, and in fact, I believe she created it, and that is one Shannon Drayton. And so I was listening, and I felt her energy, and I go, "This woman gets it. She's cool." I don't even know who her kids are
I
at this
see.
point. Now,
Like
this
you
is
try guess.
well, this is a true story. This is my first introduction. I remember it very clearly. We didn't even know each other at the time, and we're
I
sitting
remember
there.
you being very standoffish. You were like tall, good looking, and you were just like, you had
Those
a
are that's your perception, and I mean,
kid. Okay. And I get that from him. That's what he says. A kid. I stole
but
that
why
from
do we
you.
kid? Because we love,
That's
and
right.
also because we can. But no. So just cutting that into this story, this is already way too long. That I just like though her energy and her enthusiasm. I'm like, fuck yeah, that fucking person is a good person.
You know, you're so
That's my first remembering of
wow.
being. And before we even were introduced or knew each other, that was the way I got the.
Yeah, I ran the green team. So let me say, like, I had a calling to change the world and save the planet from plastic. But I just found out people would hide their plastic water bottles behind them when they see me. So I was even my own kids don't recycle. So I'm switching gears, but I will always make my little anti-single-use plastic plug when I can. Okay, so thanks
Yeah.
for that
Well, no,
opportunity.
and back to Mother Nature. We can only do what we can do as individuals. We can't encourage other people to
Yeah.
do. But the little bit I always try to do, I think I'm doing all I can in terms of environmental protection. But in the end, the solace is Mother Nature will win out. There's no controlling Mother Nature. And I think you might concur that in the end, when she's done with this civilization, she'll just,
Oh yeah.
she'll just recorrect it and the universe will start again.
Yes, it will. Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
speaking the
as
same
it's
language.
again, new beginnings, always new beginnings. Every day's a new opportunity to be somebody different than
Yeah,
you
I
are.
love that. I love that. Now, let me ask you, as an artist, I
Yeah.
love his art. Oh my God, he's got the greatest art, you guys.
Well,
It's so, because
it's not for everyone.
well, but it's, I love anything that's like fantasy or like sort of surreal. And I have a couple of years. I have the one where like the octopus is coming out of the ocean with a bottle of rum, and then there's the little skinny dude stuck on the island. Oh my God, I mean, like it just, and like I thought that he was like bringing him the rum, and but what, I think that there's a story behind. I just love your art. So tell me where it comes. Where's so today we're talking about daydreaming. Where does your inspiration for your art come from? Talk to me about your art a little bit.
Okay. So very early on, I was probably 4. I started my brothers got Mad magazines and I got to look at some
Love
of
that.
these cartoons and I'm like, I can do that. I want to do that. So I started cartooning very early, making little scenarios, absurd scenarios, very young. And and then from there the phrase is the necessity is the mother of invention,
I
right?
love
And
that.
so
I
Plato
love
was
that.
credited with saying it in obviously in Greek, but I don't think it became popularized until like the 1700s. But in other words, there's a under a strong need or a difficulty drives people, and I'm reading from notes because yes, I
Because
looked
he's
this
not
up.
like me.
People to create ingenious solutions. Now,
Yeah.
saying that my are are ingenious solutions, but they are to me.
There is
So they are,
yes.
but they're ingenious. So they are.
Agree.
So and then I went further back, and I knew this. I knew this because my daughter's a ceramicist, which is the second oldest form of artwork. And what I love about artwork is because it's universal. Anyone around the globe we can look at a piece of art and we as artists, where I think we're hoping for two reactions, either love or hate, but we do not want indifference. That just means, oh, it's just filling a space, which
I never thought
so
of
as a
that.
joke, I always say, yeah, I'm painting for indifference. And they're like, what do you mean? Oh, it's Dr. Indifference. It's actually a guy I'm doing a fucking painting for. His name is Indifference.
That's pretty good.
True
That's a
story.
good country story.
And he's so cave drawings date back some
I love that.
50,
I'm obsessed with
50
drawings.
million fucking years ago. Some as old in the Netherlands and in Spain. Again, I'm reading, obviously reading
And
here.
also think about art. We know so much now. We see so much that our inspiration comes from things we already know. You steal ideas and make them your own. But back then, in caveman days, they didn't have the internet or like books, or so it was really coming from somewhere, from somewhere above the light bulb somewhere.
And I misspoke. It wasn't millions; it's thousands. So, but it's so then also in Spain and then parts of the Netherlands.
Have been on the decade 60 centuries, or how like 60 that. Hey, go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead.
but 1,000 centuries. These are thousands of centuries ago. So some of them, some non-figurative art, i.e., meaning a symbol that's a warning, a form of language. So maybe this simple form of language was the first form of art, and those are as old as 64,000 years ago.
I love that.
Thousands of centuries we're talking ago, and pottery.
What do you think they were
dated back-
symbolizing? What do you
Well,
think they were symbolizing?
maybe it's a warning because if they're found in caves, maybe it's a warning or a welcome, like perhaps because fundamentals, right? Necessity. It wouldn't be
Oh,
perhaps
necessity.
decorative for a temple. Early religious beliefs. Sunterians. They're the fictitious ones, so don't go there. But I think, in my opinion, they're either some kind of warning or a welcome or a representation of a temple.
Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah,
perhaps.
really. Well, I know that when I remember in college, I did show up for a few of the classes. I remember that, and I love the art classes. The art
Me
history
too.
classes were my favorite. I always showed up for those. And remember the Venus of Willendorf? Do you know who that is? That's very famous at the time. The little, she was like, it was considered one of the earliest known little ceramicists. And she was a big, and they really think fertility because she had big boobs. She was fabulous, really, because if we could all look like that now, it'd be great.
But it was also an abstraction of
Yes,
perfection.
abstraction. Yes,
Yes, go. And then my
Yes.
first main guy, obviously, my mom took me to all these museums. I'm so grateful for my mom. I had the best mom on the planet. I'm sure every happy
It's
kid
different.
does that.
Yeah. And then my dad telling me I had no talent. I said, Dad, what is talent?
But she
mean?
took me to
Don't worry
museums,
about
and
it.
so Picasso was one of my big heavy hitters because he kind of was one of the first
Oh,
to get
yeah.
into abstract, and I was just drawn to his style and his not just his cubistic period because he started out as a fine painter and he did sculpting, he did everything. He was a true artist, and I wish I could say that about myself, and one day I will be that. I'm already becoming that as we speak.
Well, you are an artist.
Yeah,
Just so
but still.
we did. So say it. I'm an artist. Look at me. What am I?
I am
And I am me.
Yes, yes.
I love my message also has to be and stepping into being authentically yourself. You are healing the world. Like your art is a gift, and anything that people add in so many different ways, and we can be flawed and not perfect, and still give our gift. You know.
Absolutely.
And I love that. And what I'm fascinated about, and if I may for a moment, because I am going to talk a lot about the chakras, because you have your energy body, your spiritual body, and your mental body, right? But you have the chakras or energy centers up and down your body. And I'm fascinated with it, but thought of you get the idea. We all know that image of the light bulb. And where does that come from, right? Where does that idea come from? And then I I want to just share because we have these ideas. How do they manifest? Well, I'll do you as an example. Okay, so Rudy's going to paint a painting of an octopus holding a bottle of rum. He has a vision, right? He pulls it down to his third eye and envisions it, right? And this is what I'm going to talk about today: the third eye. I'm going to talk about the power of that because you've done transcendental meditation, and the power of imagination is huge. People always tell you to empty your mind. No, envision something. Okay, so he envisions the painting, and then he breaks it down to his communication chakra and says, "Hey, I'm going to run to the paint store. I'm going to do a painting." Okay. Then as he's driving to the paint store, in his heart, how does it feel? Does it make him feel whole? Is it bringing him joy? Is it exciting? Okay. That will then actually, when you bring it down to your solar plexus, that's your action chakra. That's when you jump in the car. Okay. So you've seen it. You had the idea. Okay. You visualized it. You spoke it. You checked in with your heart. Now you're jumping in the car. You're going to go get art supplies. Then you come back and then you give it to your artist chakra, which is your sacral chakra, and you give into flow and you trust, and that's your art, your creative, and your joy. And finally, you have gratitude for it having been done, right? That I see that as the power of manifestations, beginning with the thought, and keeping in mind that vibration is what brings things of higher vibration. So, how does that sound to you? Am I just going off in tangents?
I think as a practitioner of transcendental meditation, I
Yes.
think you have it wrong.
Okay.
I think you have it wrong because albeit it is the quieting of the mind, because we're always overthinking. Envision the surface of the ocean.
Monkey brain.
Monkey brain,
Monkey brain.
right? And so the idea is to quiet the brain to no thing or no thought. But underneath that no thought is the unified field, which is full of everything, every single idea that ever was or ever will be.
I agree.
So this is the true definition of TM for me.
Me too.
And a young guy, or recently an older cat that just passed that you might know, David Lynch, also has this same theory of TM, that right below that no thing is the unified field.
Yeah.
And the unified field has every
Infinite possibilities.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So
That's
it is not,
physics
it's
too.
thought about, yes, absolutely. It's not about emptying the mind, having an idea. Yes, because those ideas are all right there in the unified field. And so, in as much as that is the one thing I think you may have a little bit wrong, or maybe my wrong interpretation of TM, but that's how I feel when you do it right, and we never judge.
Well, Joe Dispenza is all about. Are you familiar with Joe Dispenza at all? I talk about him a lot, but he's about become nothing, become nobody. And the rebel in me is like, "Ugh." So it's hard, but he is of that. And
Yeah.
he said this. I love this. I'm gonna run this by you because this is something that Joe Dispenza says that I love. You are not responsible for the thoughts that come into your mind, but you are responsible for entertaining them. And I love that because I think the
Yeah,
train
like that.
line to maybe have more of a
It
creative
has to do with this
visualization.
one. It
And
says
it's fun.
daydream
That's
backwards. Spot.
okay, I love that. That's what we're here to talk about. Okay, now everyone has a deep, deep, deep secret fantasy daydream. What's yours? I'll share mine if you share yours.
My personal secret one?
Yeah.
I don't know. They vary in such a way. And like the song by the Beatles, Daydream Believer, I think what they were implying is like it's a lost youth, and then now suddenly you're an adult in a relationship and you don't have this freedom. And I could be totally wrong, but I think that's what their song was about. In terms of having a daydream that's a favorite, I couldn't say because I get caught up sometimes, and I get caught up, like you were saying,
The
they're
downfall.
wonderful things, but
Yeah.
they
The
can be
pitfalls.
very
Yes.
negatively viewed because I'll be at work and then, I'm working on a project and it's taking longer because I'm not present in the project, but because I'm
That's what it
daydreaming,
is.
which is the
Yeah.
most wonderful experience.
It is.
I liken it to the good feeling you get when you get deja vu.
Exactly.
Daydreaming. It is a beautiful fucking.
Just go there. Your body doesn't know the difference between real
Yeah.
and fake, so
Yeah.
just go there.
Time is a construct that man made up, so why not? I mean, it seems simple enough to me, and by no means do we
Hey,
imply
do you want to hear my my stupid, silly daydream
nothing
sometimes?
stupid, but
Okay,
sure,
I'm on an
sure.
airplane and it's
You have a
about to
recurring danger?
yeah, I'm on an airplane and it's about to be and it's being hijacked and I saved the plane. Yeah.
Oh, super.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And then I
awesome.
get interviewed on Oprah afterwards. I'm like, oh, well, I was just standing there and I happened to grow up with guns. So I just grabbed the gun from the guy. Like that is that
Then you
silly?
relive that
This
story,
is
huh? Oh, I
really
see. I
being
see.
raw and real because
I see.
but that's not a real daydream. I mean, I daydreamed about having a ranch someday. And I have a ranch. I daydreamed about having horses. And then one day I had an idea about having ostriches and now I have three. But I am always on alert on an airplane.
I don't
Just
know.
in case.
Yeah, but then there's that whole thing. There's like anticipating. I hope I can sleep on the plane. If you even entertain that idea, you'll never fucking sleep. I don't care how many sleeping
We're
aids
gonna
you
have
take or
episodes
whatever.
about sleep because I sleep really good. I sleep
So
like a
just
baby.
try not to sleep, and then
Yeah.
you'll sleep.
Yeah.
You know.
So anyway, so this has been really great. We don't want to take too long, but the power of daydreaming. Any
Yeah.
other thoughts and also just that your daughter became an artist by
Yeah.
trade and how we don't encourage that enough and the different trades. We're not everyone's going to college and for what? I mean, don't get me wrong, we all need to go our education, we need an education.
Yeah.
But anyway, so next week, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about next week yet. I have a couple of ideas, but I don't really know.
Well,
But we're gonna talk more about active imagination and oh, I have a question for you right
let
now.
me just answer
Yes.
the first. Still
Yeah,
haven't
okay.
finished answering
Please.
your plethora of questions.
Yeah.
So, of my artwork, rudydurat.com, you could look at my artwork, and that's my artist name, my nom de plume,
And now
but it's a brush. But anyway, so I get these from the unified field, but I get it from imagination. It could be the third eye, it could be any. It's an idea I have, and I'll visualize it, and I know what it is, and it exists, and I just create it.
Oh,
It's
I love
like a
that.
block of marble, and you just remove what's not there and reveal what's there. So it's working backwards with that whole theory. Huh. And I know that sounds
Oh, no.
presumptuous.
No, I love it.
But so I have certain themed ones, and they're one is Dream House, and it's this house, and I happen to have an affinity for the tropics, South Pacific.
Past life, we
Yeah,
should explore that
900
someday.
years ago, I may have been
I'm sure you are, and I could go there.
by you, but anyway, yeah. So that's where my paintings come from, And I paint for myself, as a true artist knows, that's what we do, unless we're being commissioned. Commissions are tricky. They're better than, hey, paint me a piece that looks like that. Cause it's like, what are you talking about? Like, give me something. So there's painting to sell.
Yeah.
Painting for yourself tends to be the best because it is what you know already has to
It's your
go
soul
onto the canvas.
express. Your
Yeah.
soul express.
Yeah, and it's, it's just freedom.
Needs to create on some level. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah.
We have to, and I don't know if I do enough. And
But
that's why I
favorite
love how artists do it. I love that artists just get out there and just. I love that you paint. I think I
Yeah,
need. I we all. I want to do more art in my life and more creative things because I think
yeah.
we came down here to create.
Great, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, not to destroy.
Okay, I want to wrap this up with one
Yeah. Oh,
last
yeah.
question. This is a really good one. You're gonna love it.
Okay.
Can you separate the art from the man?
Uh,
Guess what? I decided that I can. I like the art. I can set we're humans are flawed, super flawed. We're all fucking flawed.
oh, well,
But
the humans, but
came
yeah.
from the divine. I'm just gonna say. The art came from the infinite field. So I don't know what you think is on that's mine. I'm probably gonna get beat up and be like, you suck, but whatever.
Who gives a shit what people think? Remember, we
No
can't
one's gonna watch no
control.
one's gonna see this anyway, so or hear this, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, effacing, self-deprecating.
I'm gonna be famous.
No, but absolutely create
And keep creating.
yeah. I
And
mean,
and
every
keep
day
that
it feels so good,
It does,
and
and
it's like,
keep that imagination going. Find your favorite place. Just keep it going. See rainbows, see unicorns, see sparkles, see rivers. See just go to that place every once in a while. Just relax, so you can punch fear in the face. Know what
yeah,
you want. Take the next indicated action. Just visualize it. Let's start by visualizing it, and then next week, I guess it would make sense to pull it down into communication.
yeah.
All right.
Because
So
I too am fearless, and
yeah,
that's
we're
because
fearless.
I can't control what people think of me,
We're scrappy. We're
and
both scrappy. We're both fearless and scrappy. We ain't even scared, right,
thank you
Rudy?
so much for having me
Thank you so
on.
much for being here. This was so
Well,
much fun. So much fun. So until
punch
next
fear in the
time,
face.
punch fear in the face.
Keep
And
watching, kids.
that's right. Namaste.
Bye.
Namaste.
Ciao.